receive good from God? And shall we not receive evil? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So you have an exact parallel to verse 22 of chapter 1. Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. Here, Job did not sin with his lips. When he said, shall we receive good at the hand of the Lord and not receive evil? Now, here's a catch. He said, I have received evil from the Lord, meaning I have received calamity. I've received my disease from the Lord. Look at verse 7 again. Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with loathsome sores. It says Satan struck him with loathsome sores. Is one of those verses wrong? No. It's very right to give Satan his due here. Satan was evidently the immediate agent, however he does it, like the woman that was bent over for 18 years, remember? And Jesus healed her and says, shall not a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bent over for 18 years, not be healed on the Sabbath? Satan does that kind of thing in your life and my life. But what Job knows, and he knows it because of all these things we're seeing, is that Satan's on a leash. He can't do anything without God's ordaining and permitting, and therefore he's looking right through the immediate cause up to the ultimate cause and says, shall we receive good at the hand of the Lord and not receive evil? Now, I personally have a vision of heaven at this moment, that moment, in which Satan is kept on the leash. You're not going away. You're going to watch this. And when those two times Job says, blessed be the name of the Lord, though he give and take, and I will not curse him, my wife, because doesn't he have a right to give good and evil? I see 10 million angels and 20 million hands go, blessed be the God of Job for his infinite worth and value in Job's heart. And I see Satan just like this. That's why we suffer. Those choruses ring out quietly here in hospital rooms among nurses. And they ring out with unbelievable power and the vindication of God's purposes in the heavenly places where all the demons cower and all the angels celebrate the triumph of the worth of God in the hearts of his people. Let me just draw out a few lessons here that are real obvious. Satan aims to destroy your joy in God and your treasuring of God. That's very clear here. Number two, God aims to magnify his worth. We've seen that very clearly. And the mirror that he chooses to show it in is the indestructible joy of his people in him, even when they lose everything on the earth. Third, God grants to Satan limited power to cause pain. He's on a leash. Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only upon himself do not put forth your hand. Chapter 1, verse 12. Chapter 2, verse 6. Behold, he's in your power. Only spare his life. Number 4, Satan's work is ultimately the work of God. That's why it says in 2:3, you incited me against him. And that's why it says in chapter 1, verse 21, the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. And that's why it says in chapter 2, verse 10, shall we receive good at the hand of the Lord and not receive evil? And just in case we missed it, you might want to flip over to chapter 42. This is the last chapter. Are we putting too much weight on this? Is this really the way the whole book is being conceived and structured by the author, I just want to direct your attention to one verse in chapter 42, verse 11. Then came to him all his brothers and sisters, and all who had known him before, and ate bread with him in his house, and they showed him sympathy and comforted him for all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. So there it is. All the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. You know, we're going to turn to the three friends now. There was one thing about which the three friends and Job totally agreed. And it's the one thing that Christians today don't agree with. Many. These four, and you could include Elihu here, and you could include Job's wife here. These four, when they grapple with how to solve the problem of suffering, never call God's sovereignty into question. Never. That's the first thing we call into question. It's amazing. They had other questions. Is he good? Is he righteous? Is he just? But is he in charge? Never. So let's meet these fellows who show up here. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar are coming. They're in chapter 2, verses 11 following. Now when Job's three friends heard of all this evil that had come upon him, they came each from his own place. Eliphaz, the Temanite, Bildad, the Shuhite, Zophar, the Naamathite. They made an appointment together to come to show him sympathy and comfort. And then they sat with him for 7 days without saying a word because they were so stunned at his depth of suffering. And that was their golden moment because they didn't say anything. And that's probably what you should do when you show up at the hospital for a season as well. Just sit quietly. Don't be afraid of the truth. But one of the lessons we're going to learn in this next unit, which is a big unit, chapter 3 through 31, is true theology can hurt people really badly. You can use true statements very unwisely. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, I'm going to have to do some real big overviewing here, right? We're going to do through chapter 31 in the next 15 minutes or so. What you have in these chapters is 3 cycles of speeches. What I mean by cycles is this. Eliphaz speaks, Job speaks. Bildad speaks, Job speaks. Zophar speaks, Job speaks. Then it repeats itself again. Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar with Job in between. When you get to the last cycle, it's Eliphaz, Job, Bildad, Job, and it's over. Now the structure itself, Zophar dropping off the end of the 3 cycles and breaking the symmetry, is not an accident. In fact, the speeches of Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar get shorter and shorter and shorter. And Job becomes increasingly faith-filled and increasingly strong as you move through these chapters. Bildad's last speech is a mere 6 verses. And Zophar can't open his mouth anymore. Job silences his friends. So what we want to see here is, what were they saying? What's the big picture of what they were saying? And why were they silenced by what Job was saying? Because neither of them is saying very good things. Because God really gets in Job's face. Who is this that darkens counsel against me? And he's talking to Job. And Job had it better